Hello and welcome to the Very Wool podcast. My name's Diana Hawthorne and you can find me online as Delaware Spinster. It's been a few weeks since I podcasted. I'm really excited to be here today and to catch you up on what I've been doing. To start, I just wanted to show you what I'm wearing. If you're a crocheter, you may recognize the Fibres shawl. It was incredibly popular. I want to say 2018, 2019 is when I made this. Back when I was doing more crochet than knitting, and back when I was working with a lot more any yarn that I could get on sale, a lot more cotton yarns. I was not as into wool yet. So anyway, so I love this shawl, and I'm going to just stand up and show you the shawl. So this was made with Hobby Twirls, which is technically a sport weight, kind of seems more like a fingering weight, cotton yarn, or mostly cotton yarn. I'll have some, I don't remember offhand the name of the designer, so I will link that or write that down below in the description box. But at any rate, I do love this shawl, and it's really nice and airy because it's lace. And it's soft. It's like a nice soft cotton, but it also is summery. So this is one of my sort of summer shawls that I wear. It's not warm enough for the winter for me here. And I'm also wearing a Me Made shirt. It is Me Made May. Not too exciting here, just a self-drafted sort of jersey hand sewn shirt that was supposed to be sort of in the style of Alabama Chanin. Yeah, I mean, I had fun making it a few years ago, so I have not been sewing much lately, but maybe I'll get back to it eventually. Anyway, both of these things get a fair amount of wear in the summer, so that's what I thought I would wear today. So I have no finished objects, full disclosure. I'm working on a lot of things, but the main reason that I haven't podcasted in a few weeks is because of how busy I've been outside of fiber art stuff, so I just have not finished anything since the night shift shawl a few weeks ago. I have been wearing that, by the way. It gets cold enough at night that I've been wearing that downstairs as opposed to wearing like a sweater or something. So anyway, so that's been getting some wear, but no other finished objects. And in fact, it's been a little bit of a weird few weeks for me. So I've been working on whips, but I haven't been prioritizing my furthest along whips for the most part. I've been sort of casting on new things. You might say it's been sort of like a cast-onitis kind of a thing. And I think for me, sometimes it's really stressful. I'm not getting a lot of time to do fiber art stuff because I'm working really long hours. So then when I get home, maybe I am trying to be excited about something and cast on something new. I don't know. I cast on a lot of things, so I'm going to share some with you today because I still think it's fun to look at yarn and what I've been working on in terms of, small little, the beginnings of projects. I still think it's fun to see that. So first I'm going to share with you a couple of the whips that are furthest along that I've been picking back up. One of them I talked about in another podcast episode, and that is, here it is, the Scotch Broom. So this is a little bit tangled, don't mind that. So this is the Scotch Broom Tea by Wool & Pine, and I'm using a one-off skein, a Potluck skein from Hedgehog Fibres, which is it's their oh so fine cashmere. It is oh so fine. It's so soft. So this is the second, the back side. I already have the front side blocked, and it's a little hard to, I think you're gonna probably see it. I'm trying to show you right side up and the correct side out. So that's looking pretty good. And you can see, they say to sort of pin it on yourself and see if you like how long it is. And I do. I think that's going to be a good amount of lace. And when I blocked it out, I looked at, because you attach the two panels here and that becomes your sleeve, like a drop shoulder sleeve. And then you knit the bottom part of the shirt. So I did make sure that the dimensions are correct for me to not have to do any stockinette flat for the sleeve, for me to just go right into the sleeve with this. So once I have the back panel done, and I ended up doing 9 rows of the lace, which was one more than was called for in my size, which is fine. So part of it is I'm using a slightly finer yarn. This is really, it's called a lace. It feels like a light fingering to me. So anyway, so I still hit the gauge. I'm fine there in terms of width, but I think it's not quite as tall. So so I ended up doing 9 rows, and I think it's going to be fabulous. It is so soft, and I love the color. I can't stop staring at this. So anyway, it came off the blockers, and then I've just been leaving it on blocking mats, like not pinned or anything, but just laying out flat, because I'm like so paranoid that I'm gonna snag this on something or something. So speaking of which, I'm just gonna put it over there. So I'm really excited about that. By the way, if you're new here, I'm not normally all pink and lace, but apparently that's my thing right this moment. So so we're gonna get away from that soon, but because I've realized this is kind of similar in some ways to my virus shawl here, but that's not totally my aesthetic. It's just one thing I like. So I'm gonna have to weigh this. When I get down to 9, I currently have 4 repeats. This is not blocked, it does not look as clear. When I get down to 9, I'm gonna have to weigh this and decide. I do not think, and I didn't think when I started it, that I would have enough. I'm just under the yardage required for the shirt. So my thought was to stripe it with something else. What would that something else be? I have like 10 thoughts right now. Honestly, I think I need to finish and block the second top, start them together, which just means knitting one and then knitting the other. Maybe knit a couple of rows, because I wouldn't do a 1 row repeat. I wouldn't do, if I'm striping it with something else, you know, 1 knit, 1 knit, 1, you know, I'm not going to go for like helical knitting basically. I think I would do more like 4 rows or even like 8 rows to like do a fatter stripe. I don't know. So I'm gonna get it attached, try it on, make sure I haven't made a mistake in terms of the armhole size, because I'm really sensitive about things like that. I would not wear it if they're too tight. So make sure that physically works. And then I have, you know, very fine scales that weigh in, you know, point to the hundredths of a gram, basically. So weigh the yarn, do 1 row around, weigh the yarn again, and see how much it takes to do 1 row. And then weigh the whole thing and basically do some math and figure out how much of another yarn am I going to need. Is it just going to be a little highlight here and there? I might use a hot pink mohair that I happen to have in my stash. Or my hot pink Surrey that's left over from my Evanescence. So yeah, that's kind of a thought. It's like staring at me up in the corner. So I'm thinking about that. The other thing I would think about is I have a really cute yellow yarn that I think would just, it has like pink speckles and green speckles. I was holding them next to each other. I think that would look cute too, but I wouldn't want to crack into a whole skein if I'm only going to need 20 grams of it. I kind of feel like if I only need a little bit, I should go with fluff. But I'm going to see what it looks like, and I might even, you know, do a little swatch of it. So anyway, so that's where we're coming with this. This is probably the thing that is furthest along. It doesn't have sleeves, so so it's kind of a small top, and gosh, I would really like to get to the point where I can wear it this summer. So that's, I've been motivated. I've been working on that, honestly. If I was just working on that, I would have finished it in the last 3 weeks, but I don't do that. And I'm trying not to pressure myself about that anymore. I know some people are monogamous knitters. I'm not. I very much do what I want to do, and I think part of that is if I'm stressed, I turn to knitting or spinning or crocheting as a way to de-stress. And if I'm forcing myself to do one particular thing that I don't feel like doing, it's not as de-stressing for me. I don't know, maybe that's an excuse. So, so that's one big project I've been working on that's pretty far along. The other big knit project I've been working on that it's not far along. It's like 10% of the way, but when you see my other whips that I'm going to share with you today, you'll understand why this is, you know, why I feel like this is a little bit further. So I've been a little bit more motivated in picking back up my Elton cardigan. And if you don't know, I do have the printed pattern with me, so I'll share, but I'll still label it in the description box. So this is the Elton by Locatelli. So it's a fingering weight and lace mohair alternated in a few rows, like really thin rows. And I am happy with how mine's coming out, and I someday, blocking makes a big difference, is not blocked, but someday I want to actually have this finished, so you can see sort of a close-up here of the yarns together. Maybe you can see, yeah, so the fingering weight is a singles yarn that I got in a kit with another mohair, but I didn't want it to all be the same color, so then I'm striping it with a Kim Dyes yarn mohair that I got at Maryland Sheep and Wool 2023 in the Dusk colorway. I think it was one of her show color. It wasn't like her main show colorway, but I feel like it was. I don't always see it. So so that is her, like, the lace weight mohair silk, which then you can see has a little more. I'm trying to get it to show you. It has a little bit more variegation to it. You can see this is going to be beautiful. It's going to be wonderful. It is very tedious because you're doing this, it's a drop shoulder, it comes out pretty far, it's got a lot of, I think it's like 16 inches of positive ease, so, and I'm working flat, I'll be working flat until I get to the sleeves, right, because it's a cardigan, so even when you join, this is just the back panel, but even when you join it to the fronts, you're still working flat. So anyway, I like how it's coming along. It is looking good, and this was just kind of in a box for a while. I was not working on it, so I am feeling happy that I've been motivated and been working on it, and I have sort of a dream of that being maybe something that I wear at holiday time so that, you know, people get to see it. Although it is very lightweight, that allows me to wear maybe a knit t-shirt or maybe a dress that I've made and the sweater and then a shawl, and who doesn't love layering a bunch of things. So so that's my plan for the Elton. And the other thing that I have been working on reliably that is further along than when we last spoke. So you may remember that I've been doing a huge sweater spin, and it's really a sweater dress spin. And I've gotten to the point where I have a pretty good size. This was a ball of the yarn. It's like a 3-ply yarn. It is fine wools, silk, and all kinds of mix-ins. A little bit of mohair, alpaca, some sparkly stuff. And I did a decent sized swatch to see how it drapes and how it feels. It is nice and soft. By the way, it's going to be knit in the round, so that's why it looks funny. I'll talk about that in a moment, but it's nice and soft. It feels a little bit thicker when I pretend this is a sleeve. It feels a little bit thicker than I was aiming for. So I've adjusted and I'm spinning a little bit finer on the yarn, the singles right now. And I'm figuring it's going to average out, and basically I may have some singles that are a little finer than others. I realized I did something stupid. Instead of averaging like different areas of the singles, like early singles, late singles, etc., I did specifically the earliest because they were little samples and they were on smaller rewound bobbins. And I was just thinking it was convenient for me to do it that way. And then I realized, I think that it's not totally representative. So, like, long story short, I'm gonna have to apply more and swatch more. But what I do like, which is good, is the color. The yarn overall, it's fairly even. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's a shame because I really like the reverse stockinette side, and you won't see that. But it still looks, I'm very happy with that, with the stockinette. And I did do the bottom as a little bit of garter, which I don't always do on my swatches, but I did that because this dress starts with garter bottom up. Not my favorite construction, but I'm doing it. And it starts with a couple rows of garter instead of any ribbing or anything, and then it's going to be stockinette. So I did this whole, if you're not into swatching this way, the reason it looks like this is because this is going to be knit in the round, and I didn't want to knit a whole hat to see how this is. I didn't want to do small circumference because then I can't block it well. So I do this fake thing where you end up with these wonky edges. That's okay. I just knit and then bring the yarn back and knit and bring the yarn back and knit. And it is a convenient way to swatch. And overall, I'm happy with how this is looking. Yeah, I think it's going to be fine. I would have to adjust the gauge. I wouldn't want to knit this any tighter, so I would have to do some math and make a smaller size basically, or have smaller stitch counts, lower stitch counts because of the yarn being a little bit thicker. So basically, because I'm still early enough into the spin, I am trying to adjust my spin, and then I'm gonna reply and re-swatch. And this amount of yarn, which has this thicker gauge, I may just end up, I haven't frogged it, and I may not put it back into the project because it's a little bit thicker than what I had envisioned. Now, because this is going to be a gift for my mom, who does not really overheat the way that I do, she'd probably be fine with it being a little bit thicker. So it's not like I would scrap it if this is how it comes out. I would forge ahead and I would do some math. But at the same time, if I can adjust right now, which I fully expect I'm going to be able to, then I would like this to be a little bit thinner, because this is like worsted close to Aran, and I really think it should be, even though it called for worsted or 9 wraps per inch, which this is, the gauge just isn't quite working out exactly how I wanted, maybe partially because this is woolen spun. So I'm going to go aim for more like DK to worsted. So anyway, I'm happy with the color, I'm happy with the texture, I'm happy with a lot of things about it, and I have been spinning this pretty much every day. So I'm gonna get there. I normally like to wait until the end when I've got all of the singles, all of them rewound onto weaving bobbins, and then go ahead and start plying. But because I've had sort of this mishap where the early stuff was, the plies were too big, and my gauge is off and it's not exactly what I want, I do think I'm gonna have to ply some more sooner while I still have time to salvage this. I still haven't spun like a third of what I need to spin, or probably half of the bats that I set aside. I've been doing a lot, but I tend to, when it's like a sweater spin, I don't want to risk underestimating, and I'd much rather have this yarn left over and make myself a nice hat or a scarf or a sweater. So I think I really overestimated how much I will need based on the swatch, but since the bats are already made and I love the color and I would use it for a sweater for myself happily, I'm just going to forge ahead with making too much yarn, and then I can be pickier when I'm working on the dress and say, like, this skein looks better than that one. And I like to do that. That's what I did with my weekender. So anyway, so I'm still in the process, and it's so funny to think that this project is far along when I am still spinning singles. Why was I saying that? But it's still more than some of my other projects. So anyway, so this is the big spin that I've been working on. I do want to talk to you about one other spin that I've started, and really it's not a spin, I've been prepping wool to spin. So I had shared with you I got that Romney fleece when I was at Maryland Sheep and Wool. I did also acquire a Corriedale fleece, but I didn't buy it from the fleece sale. I got that separately and coincidentally around the same time, early May. So I have been cleaning both. I've completely cleaned the Corriedale fleece because I'm really big on getting things clean as soon as possible. The Romney I'm still working through, but that's only half a fleece and I'll get there. So the Corriedale fleece, I've been sort of sorting into two piles. One is kind of fluffy random bits, and you can see, look how white that came out. It's fantastic. This was a really clean fleece. So, and like perfect crimp structure. So the fluffy bits like this that are a little bit shorter staple and are not really discernible locks, I have been carding them up, and I'll show you what I'm aiming for with that. But on the other hand, I've got a few bags of just like perfect locks. Just beautiful. So when I'm cleaning it, if I can, after it's already been washed, if I can pull off a pretty obvious lock, like, I mean, come on, look at that one. That's fantastic. So if I get a good lock like that, then I'm just gonna flick the tip and spin it from the lock, which I love doing. And I mean, this is just fantastic. It's still got a little bit of lanolin in it. It's so clean, so little VM that that some of these locks, as I said, I think I'll be able to just, I'm not even gonna comb them or use my hackles or anything. I'm just gonna sit at my wheel and I like to just kind of, if I need to flick the tip at all, if I need to flick the butt side, I spin from the butt side. I like the way that it feels, that the yarn feels going through my hand that way, and I will spin this pretty much worsted style. So I always keep it the same way, and then I always rewind so that when I'm plying, I'm still going from the butt side. Maybe I'm superstitious, maybe that's just my habit, but anyway, so that's the plan for these, and I have a couple of bags of these. So that's gonna be, I never keep yarn white, but I might, I don't know. But what am I gonna do with the rest of the fluffy stuff that's not like a discernible lock? Well, I have a plan. I have started, I'm carding it. I do like, I guess 3 passes. Well, at least 2 passes of this, 3 passes of that. I'm mixing it, I'm blending it with some other wools, a Jacob fleece that I had cleaned, just like the white and light gray of the Jacob fleece, a little bit of camel and a little bit of alpaca, including Surrey alpaca, but not like super long staple length Surrey, because a really long Surrey alpaca lock you cannot put on your drum carder, or at least I can't. This is like 3 to 4 inch staple length that was from a baby, it was like a Crea fleece, I think they call it. So it's like the first fleece that came off of the young Surrey, and it's super silky and soft. It's been really hard to spin alone because it's like fine silk, and it's just, the micron count must be super low. I didn't have it checked or anything, but it's so fine and it's so slippery. And it's kind of hard to card it open. So it's taking like 3 passes and mixing it with wool to really get it opened up. So all that to say, I have been making these big fluffy bats that have, you can see some of the brown is from the Surrey and the camel. There's a whole lot, it's still mostly wool. I did throw in some like brightly colored wool scraps. I threw in some, I love using the sari silk, so you can see little bits of that. The sari silk bits are the, vibrantly colored little bits. What else is in here? I think that's about it. And then the alpaca, some of the alpaca fleece, after I cleaned it, I dyed it. Just sort of a blend of colors. So anyway, so you can see, so it's going to be lightly colored, but I have trouble just spinning white. I really do. I have trouble wearing white because I spill on everything. So I don't know. I don't know that I can keep any of it white, but I do think with like an off-white like this, that it'll get a lot of wear and it'll be nice. And it's so soft and it's so lofty. And anyway, so I've only got a couple of the bats that are triple processed like this that are done and ready to spin. I spun up the tiniest section of it and I was happy with it in terms of it was very enjoyable to spin because it's so open and lofty. And it also, I liked the color that it was coming out. So, so I was happy enough with that I'm forging ahead with the project. And it's going to be a long time because I'm going to need a bunch of bats. What am I going to make with that? Well, my current plan, and I have planned to make this sweater, I don't know, this might be like plan G. I mean, I really, I had, I think, 5, 6 at least other plans for this sweater that I have swatched and not liked enough. So I want to do the Like a Cloud by Locatelli. I own the pattern. This is the pattern. And I think it's going to be, it's similar in construction to a lot of her cardigans. So if you've made a few of her cardigans, you probably know the way she likes to do it. And it's really unique. I like it, which is why part of the reason that I work on so much of her stuff. But anyway, so I think I'm spinning for Like a Cloud. So, you know, ask me again in 2 years if I've cast this on. Because seriously, I dyed yarn for it. I bought yarn for it. I've had all these plans and I just find that I don't like them in the stitch pattern that she has, and it's not Like a Cloud enough. So I'm going in a real different direction because this pattern calls for a lace weight, I think it's a lace weight merino held double with a lace weight mohair silk. And I have so many things that are held with mohair, and I've got a number of things that are held with mohair or suri, and I like it, but it's not my everything. And I don't think, and I often get those fibers, like they end up on everything, including I often find them in my eye, and it's irritating me. So I'm trying to vary what I have, and I don't specifically have enough mohair of any one color to do this right now. And because the yardage is like 2,100 yards or something of the fingering weight, which is lace plus lace. So basically I feel like it's a sign that I don't have enough. I don't want to buy, 20 skeins of mohair, or I guess it would only be 5 if they're like 50-gram skeins. But anyway, I'm not trying to acquire that much more mohair. I already have some mohair and I like using it, but I don't need to make everything mohair. So I'm trying to spin for it because nothing commercial for me has swatched right. And I just thought, you know what, maybe I'll just go in a totally different direction. And that's what we do as spinners, right? As, we kind of make our own thing. So yeah, so those are the big things that I'm working on. I have, as I told you, a lot of small new cast-ons. So I'm not gonna torture you by showing you 10 things. I think I may have cast on 10 things in the past couple of weeks. It's been an interesting time, but I will show you a few. So first off, this is a yarn that I bought for something else. I've had this yarn in my stash. This is Rustic Silk, Ella Ray Rustic Silk, and this is the Shenandoah colorway. It's basically a gray with some like brownish red. I love it. It's kind of like 90s grunge vibes. I was planning on using it for something else, and I realized at some point that it would go better in a different stitch pattern and in a different format. So I've cast on. Again, this is the kind of thing that I've got going on right now. Is I've got 10 things that look like this in my house. This is a ripple crop top. So this is fingering weight. It's 100% silk, by the way, but it's got this weird, it's like painted silk. I don't know how to explain it. But I realized Jessie May Designs, Jessie May, had used this same yarn, a different colorway, as one of her samples for the ripple crop top, I think. So when I saw that, I was like, duh, like that's what I'll use it for. And the only thing that was holding me back was that I have 5 skeins of this because I bought it for something else. So I'm only going to need like 2.5 for this. So I'll just make 2 tops. Like I'll just make another top that I only need 900 yards. Like that, why is that a big deal? So anyway, so I'm really happy with how it's swatching up. So this is a completely ribbed, like the ripple refers to ribbing, crop top, and it's bottom up, which is not my favorite thing, but that means that basically I'm just ribbing for a long time. So I only have about 1 inch here. That's fine. This was one day that I worked on it. And then I put it aside and cast on something else. And the other thing that I cast on, because I was so excited to get, for the first time ever, so this is kind of going into acquisitions, but Fiber Society, Magpie, I was so excited about that I was like, I'm going to go ahead and cast on a Dune Drifter. So I had already swatched it, by the way, of course. But you can see Dune Drifter by Wool & Pine is a really unique construction, which I love. I love a unique construction. And you knit it sideways. So it's like an adorable t-shirt that, so this is the sleeve, believe it or not. And you can kind of see how it's going to be a sleeve. But and I am, because my arms are big enough and my sleeve is big enough that I'm not stressing it by doing this, I'm knitting it almost like a hat. I'm using a 16-inch circular. How convenient for me, as opposed to doing magic loop. I'm a big magic loop person, but sometimes it gets to be unmanageable when you're like shoving it in a little bag. This has been my take it to a restaurant, take it to work, you know, sitting and waiting in the doctor's office kind of a project for the last few days. And so I love how this is coming out. So what yarn is this? This is Magpie Fibres. It is their Swanky Sock, which is Merino Cashmere Nylon, I think. I might as well double check that because I'm right here. Swanky Sock, Merino Cashmere Nylon. I got it. So so this is just, I really like this colorway, and I can't, it's so soft. It's going to be a silky, perfect top. Yeah. I envisioned when I first saw it, I thought it would be good for this top, and I think it's going to be great. So those are, I've just realized, 2 gray t-shirts that I'm knitting, but you know what? They're completely different. And this one, I expect, I'm going to make it long enough. I expect I'll be able to actually wear this. It's not very low cut. I expect I'll be able to wear it to slightly more formal things, or like wear it to work. Where the other one is going to be like an around the house. It's kind of like a little sexy t-shirt. So anyway, so I'm excited about both of those. And yeah, that's what I've got going on. So let's talk about acquisitions, because again, I have some acquisitions. So one thing is this, I joined the Fiber Society. Magpie Yarns is not far from me. It's a few hours away, so I have not actually been to the flagship store. I think it'd be dangerous. I really like their yarns. But this was this Fiber Society number 36. The speckle just got me. I really loved it. And I ended up getting 3 skeins. It's their Swanky Sock. So again, Merino Cashmere Nylon. It's really glossy, and it's a 3-ply. So you can tell, if you could not tell or did not, read the label, whatever. Sometimes they tell you, sometimes they don't, but this is a 3-ply here, you can see. So, so it's a nice full, it's a pretty solid fingering weight. I think it looks better at this gauge than some other things that I had swatched that were like really fine 4-plies. But yeah, I just love it. I can't stop looking at how beautiful it is. So, so this was from the Fiber Society. This was the yarn from April. If you're interested at all, every 2 months, basically, the Fiber Society, they have a new limited run yarn, basically. So I just ordered mine for June, as of June 1st. But yeah, I really love this, and I'm happy with how it's swatching up, or how it's working up for this shirt. And I also acquired a few other things. So I used to only buy yarn if it was the cheapest yarn on sale at Joann's. And then occasionally I would go to a nice yarn shop and get like one random skein of something that, again, was in the clearance bin or something. I realized over time I'm more of a garment knitter or like a big shawl knitter than I am a sock or a hat knitter. So I need more than one skein. And I, over time, have just gotten to a point where either I'm dyeing it or spinning it myself, which I still love to do, or I'm getting the yarn that I want, which is often luxury yarn. It may just be merino, absolutely. It may be superwash, it may not be. But I really, I've ordered a lot of yarn this year, and I've realized that doing pre-orders for yarn is kind of fun for me because I'm supporting somebody, and then they're getting to dye this yarn and ship it to me like 10, 12 weeks later, which I like because then it feels like a treat when it comes, and it kind of motivates me to, you know, swatch for a project or get something done or start something new. It's been really fun doing this. This is not something that I'm going to do every year, but for the first time ever, I started doing these pre-orders. And so now I've had a lot of yarn coming in right after going to Maryland Sheep and Wool. And it was just kind of coincidental that the timing worked out that way, that things that I ordered in like January, February or whatever, showed up in May. So anyway, so I've got a number of new yarns. So one of the things that I was very excited about and have been swatching is this Treehouse Knits Yak Silk Fingering. This was from their Ever After collection. Lauren's yarns are fantastic. And I got a number of things from the Ever After collection, but this is the only one that I've swatched and have just cast on. And this is the color I Will Speak for Her, which is a fabulous red. And I've been getting a lot of compliments when I wear a certain like commercial red dress that I have. So I thought this would be great. It's the Yak Silk Fingering. So again, it's so luxurious. This is also, I think, a 3-ply, if I check here. Coincidental, definitely thinner than the other. Yeah, it's 3 plies. So, so this is a 3-ply fingering, super buttery soft. It's still mostly merino, but anyway, merino yak silk. The yak silk itself, the yak is a little bit gray. So, so when you see the other bases that are just merino, dyed next to this one, you can see that the yak dye is a little bit darker, but I thought in this red, it's so rich. It's so awesome. So, I am using this for another Hoey Locatelli pattern for the Serenity. It's a long sleeve, although I may make, they'll probably be 3/4 length sleeves if I'm realistic. It's like a V-neck, long flowy top. So I thought some drapiness would be perfect. I don't know how I'm gonna feel in terms of sticking with basically a one color top that I'm gonna be knitting flat for quite a while. Until I get to join, and and even when I'm knitting in the round, it's really long and it like flares out. So I normally do stripes or a fade or something where we've got a lot of colors going on. I normally do not do 2,200 yards of one color, and that's basically what I'm going to need on this. So I had to really commit to the yarn, but this yarn's fabulous. So I think it's going to be wonderful. And that's just one more thing that I've just cast on. And the other thing I've acquired has been, I also did a pre-order for Ruby and Roses for her Taylor Swift collection. And I gotta tell you, I am not a Swiftie. Didn't have to be. I love the way that Addie dyes, Addie Vollner from Ruby and Roses. Look at this. Look at that. That's Reputation, which I guess is a Taylor Swift song. I am not opposed to Taylor Swift. Good for her. But I just don't specifically listen to her music. And yet. I mean, I had to pre-order from this collection. I got a number of different colorways, kind of like the other collection. I'm just showing you what I'm working with right now. So I have a plan for this. So Reputation specifically, I thought about, I bought one of her other yarns, Cryptic, which you can see it's a lot more colors. You can kind of see if I use that as a background that, so it's kind of got a base similar to Reputation. It's got some of the dark, but it has a lot more color in it. I'll show you one that's unwrapped. This is the same thing. It just has its ball band removed. So this is Cryptic. So I got 2 skeins of Cryptic to go with Reputation. She was nice enough to ship it at the same time with my order. Although, you know, if you're ordering like hundreds of dollars worth of yarn, of course they're gonna be nice enough to do that. But Addie seems really lovely and she's a fantastic dyer. I love this base. It's somehow super plump, more so than a lot of 85% merino, 15% nylon. I don't know who she sources her yarn from. Super plump fingering weight yarn, super soft. This is her soft rose base. But somehow when I got these together, I was kind of like, I feel like if I combine them, I'm taking away from the near black, absolutely fabulous, like tonal deep red black that this is. And then I'm kind of watering down the beautiful pops of color that I get in this. So then I was like, I don't know that I can do them both together. So I think I'm going to use this. This was my plan B for this one. I had to see them together in order to know, but I think I'm going to use this for the top of a twist cardigan. Twist is a cardigan, a pattern for Advent stuff from Amba O'Brien. Amba. She's a really cool pattern designer who always does Advent stuff. Like she does a ton of different, you know, if you're using mini skeins, if you're going to try and do a fade or a stripe or something. So the twist cardigan I really like. And I have ordered Ruby and Rose's Advent. I also ordered her, I like some other minis from her. So basically it would be a cool way to use something that's almost black and just match it to the Advent. But I won't have that until November. And even then I'm probably not going to open it. Yeah, I won't. I'll open them during December. So the question is, do I be bold and cast on the top of the twist cardigan knowing I'm going to use for Advent? Or do I just consider, I mean, this could be another cute little t-shirt. I could just trim it with other, like have like a little mini stripe of something else in it. Even doing like a mini, like 1 row stripes of this, like almost like pinstripe, but sort of the opposite of pinstripe in terms of directionality. I don't know. I'm torn, but I love it and I want it to mostly stand alone. So then if I'm using it in the twist cardigan, it's really just the background. It's like the canvas that the painting is on. So that's kind of sad for you. I feel like you deserve your own thing. So I don't know. I'm going to wait for it to speak to me. It's your call. So what am I doing then with Cryptic? Because I bothered to order this, which I love. It's beautiful. So my other thought for this, I just got a pattern from Suzanne Summer, who's like Sosu on, is like her patterning. I got a pattern for this hoodie it's like the shawl hoodie cardigan. I don't have any hoodies and I kind of thought, I was considering using these together for this, but decided not to use Reputation. I thought, how cute would it be to have a hoodie that's almost black? Because, you know, like a black hoodie. So I have some black. This is Bio Balance from BC Garn. So it's a wool cotton blend and it's black. It is black. I've got a bunch of this. And I have never knit I've crocheted black, but I haven't knit a lot of black, like aside from a little stripe here or there. So to be honest, I don't know. I was saving this for a t-shirt because I've got like 1,500 yards of it, 1476 or something. But I'm actually thinking if I do something like this, where I'm striping black with dark, then it might, these are some other just like random dark skeins that I have. I mean, come on, I think that'd be fun. Because then it'll keep me going on the black, and if I'm like alternating rounds or alternating small sections, like doing stripes with the black, I feel like that's gonna work well. So I'm considering, one of my favorite things to do is to use stash mixed with brand new stuff. And I feel like that's a good way to use stuff that, I don't know, like it's one of those things that I've just had in my stash, and I've thought about, you know, doing an outline tee. I thought about doing the ripple crop. I thought about so many different things, but I don't know. I kind of think if I combine it with something else, it might elevate that a little bit. And it just doesn't do the same thing. If I take out the black and I do that, I don't know, on camera that looks really good too. Let me know what you think. Help me out here. I really do like the idea of making the hoodie, and I think it'd just be fun to have it, like it's from afar, it's almost black. So I figured I would throw in some skeins. I've got this Dragon Horde yarn. Love her too. So this is Moonfire. Again, it's like, it's so dark, so deep, but really beautiful. This is one of hers, Bilbo. So cute. So I find that these kind of go well together. I think they would look nice. I don't know. You can't use every yarn that you get for like all alone, or at least I can't. So it's tough because I think about a project like this one where I'm really letting this yarn shine, but then sometimes it's nice to kind of mix them together, and I still think you can enjoy the moment with a certain yarn and like the certain part. So the hoodie shawl cardigan starts shawl style and has a lot of garter, which I love, and it's like garter stripes, so probably like 2 rows of this, 2 rows of that. And that's how the hood is constructed too. And then it has stockinette in the body, and then reverse stockinette as a panel, like a really thick panel around the waist area or like the lower area. So it has different elements to it that specifically the designer designed it for multiple yarns. So in my size, it's like 2 skeins basically of 3 different yarns. So it takes 6 skeins, but it's supposed to be like 3 different colors. So I still think it would work with this like conglomeration of mostly black or really dark yarns, but I don't know. I'm sort of torn. So if at any point I'm not like 100%, this is the right thing to do, this is what I'm doing, then I just don't cast something on yet. I feel like once I cast something on, I mostly feel pretty strong about it. I do frog things sometimes, so I have frogged a couple things this year, but for the most part, I have a good idea when I cast on it. It's not like I would have already swatched, and I haven't even swatched this. So that might make all the difference, is if I feel like swatching something and I cake up some of these yarns and swatch them, then I may realize that that I like Reputation striped with cryptic like I originally thought, or that I just want to do Reputation on its own. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm not 100% on anything with this, and I guess the whole thing with bringing in the bio balance is just that I've started thinking, because I really wanted to make a shirt with this, and I've just started thinking, gosh, am I going to be able to knit a whole shirt at a tight gauge? Like, this is a fingering weight. Am I going to be able to do a whole shirt with this with no relief, no stripes, no gradient, and just like, I don't know, like it's soft, don't get me wrong. And I obviously have worked with a lot of cotton. I mean, this is 1,000 yards of cotton right here. So, or maybe it's 1,000 meters, so a little more than 1,000 yards. So I have done it. I could do it. Would it keep my interest, especially if it's mostly stockinette? I don't know, because this would make a great outline tee, like Jessie made designs again. I feel like it would be so wearable, but is it knittable for me? I don't know. I feel like it would take me years. I got that yarn years ago. So that was like the plan at the time. I thought about outline. I thought about a few other tops. So I got, it was on sale. And so I got like 6 skeins of it. So I have almost 1,500 yards, which is great. That's a great amount of fingering to make a short-sleeved sweater or tee, or maybe at a looser gauge to make something with it. But I just don't know that I can knit that continuously and be excited about it. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. So I'm kind of thinking about, instead of like sometimes something that I get as a sweater quantity that I get a ton of, I realize that I would rather break up and do smaller projects, and that's okay too. So I kind of have come full circle, I guess, from I used to only buy yarn on sale. Now I pay like top price for, indie designers that deserve the money. I mean, it's hard. Dyeing yarn is physically hard labor, I find, and I like my dyeing style, but it is not the same as Addie's dyeing style. It's not the same as Lauren's. So I really like, I can do certain things. I know what I can do and what I can't do. I used to always buy one skein, and now I buy a sweater quantity of most things, and then I still sometimes only want a skein of it, and it's like a sort of a confusing situation where I don't always know what is the most efficient way. So anyway, so all that to say, I've had some acquisitions, and you know what? I'm letting myself feel okay about the cast-ons and the acquisitions. I am a very fortunate person. I am able to afford yarn, partially because I work hard, but partially just privilege that I have. So if I can support other people who have made yarn their business by supporting a local yarn shop, or right now, because I don't have a local yarn shop, supporting fiber festivals, supporting indie dyers, I feel really good about that. And it's obviously, they're getting something out of it, but I'm getting something out of it. I'm getting yarn. I have started looking at my yarn. I'm trying to get away from the word stash. I don't think we should have such a negative stigma. I look at it as a collection, and I'm really trying to use that yarn, or use that term for my yarn, because I do have a beautiful collection of yarn, and it is exciting to me to come in here in my room where I keep most of my yarn, and to come in here and to think about, like, oh man, like that yarn that I dyed a while ago would go really well with this yarn that I just got from this other dyer, and let me put these together and let me swatch something up. It's fun. So I'm trying to take away some of that negative, the sort of voices that we hear, and a lot of people talk about it like, oh, I shouldn't have bought yarn, or I shouldn't buy any more yarn. I'm trying not to say that so much, because if I want it and I can afford it and it helps me and somebody else, there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's nothing wrong with destashing or donating stuff. I basically, earlier this year, I cleared out a lot of my old stuff that I was keeping, like acrylic stuff that I bought for baby blankets, and all of the older stuff that I had individual skeins of a cotton yarn, or things that I don't see myself using, and I donated it to a craft donation place where like teachers and people can get discounted craft supplies, and I felt really good about that. And then of course clearing out that space allowed me to collect more yarns that meant more to me, that were exciting to me. So all of this to say, I have ordered so many advents for this year, and I feel okay about that. I think I'm gonna order my last one today from Treehouse Knits, and then I think I'll be good. But I'm definitely gonna do Vlogmas in December, and there's gonna be so much yarn to open. So if you're into that, join me then. I will still have some acquisitions in between now and then, but I'm definitely going to cool it on the pre-orders in favor of acquiring the true, the advents or like a 6-month pre-order for a lot of these dyers. And yeah, that's kind of my plan, is to get some of these things knitted and to be excited about what I have for a little while, and then have another period of time where I've got a lot of acquisitions coming in. And I'm fine with that. And my collection is beautiful. I can't take my eyes off my lovely yarn. I like to just kind of move it around and reorganize things like monthly. It's kind of crazy, but if it makes me happy, there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, so that's it. And in case you were curious or heard my bracelet jingling at all, the other acquisition that I got that's non-yarn was a picnic blanket jewelry. She made this new collection with little sheep. It's a little glass sheep. Anyway, so I also acquired that since I last spoke to you. So it's been kind of a crazy time. No finishing. Even those socks that I cranked that I was like, this is going to be the perfect thing for Maryland Sheep and Wool weekend. I'm going to work on finishing these socks. I have finished 0. I cranked, like 5 pairs of socks. So I think I have 10 socks sitting in my little sock bag that none of them have been seamed. I tucked in a lot of the tails, like I wove in the ends, but I have not done the grafting stitch on any of them. So they're not wearable socks yet, and I'm going to work on that. It's one of the things. But anyway, I don't have any finished objects, and that's okay. And I have a lot going on right now. So I'm still going to try and do a weekly podcast. It may realistically be every other week. I don't know, but let me know what you're interested in. Let me know if you really like sticking to a weekly podcast, if that's more helpful for me to aim for that, so that I'm not talking at you for an hour about yarn that I bought. And let me know what kind of content you like, because I'm all for it. Obviously, I'm still new to this process, and I'm still kind of figuring out what would be best. But I do want to be honest about the fact that I have acquired yarn, because I feel like it's not helping anybody if I'm just pretending that I don't buy yarn. I have bought a lot of yarn lately. So anyway, and I'm excited about it, and I will continue to have new cast-ons and new things to share. And I'll let you know how the spinning's going, and if I'm any further on that dress project, or if I'm just spinning singles for 6 months, which is what it's been so far. So that's what's going on. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what parts of this podcast have been helpful to you, or what kind of thing you want to see more or less of. Thank you.